Welcome to this show where we tell you about shows who are so boring to watch, you want to commit suicide. And on this episode, 10 Things I Hate About You.
Taming of the Shrew is a very sexist play. In the play there are two sisters, Bianca and Katerina, the last one being the shrew. Bianca is a fair young woman and has many suitors. Katerina, on the other hand, is a typical shrew. A shrew is a woman who is unpleasant and ill-tempered. When a young man, Lucentio, comes to town to finish his studies, his eye falls upon the fair Bianca. He wishes to marry her, but the father of Bianca and Katerina does not want Bianca to marry someone unless Katerina also marries someone. That way, Lucentio cannot marry. One day, another man comes to town, Petruchio. He becomes the suitor of Katerina. Lucentio and Hortensio, who's also a suitor of Bianca, plan the whole thing so they have the chance to rule Bianca. When Bianca and Katerina's father want to have some tutors for his daughters, Petruchio and Lucentio disguise themselves as the two tutors Cambio and Litio. That way they get to rule Katerina and Bianca. Katerina does not want to get married at first, but after seeing that Petruchio or Litio is actually very nice and is the only man who can handle her, she agrees to marry him. After the marriage, she is taken against her will to Petruchio's house. There he proclaims nothing is good enough for her, and that is why she is not giving anything. A dress that fits perfectly is not perfectly enough, and she's not allowed to wear it. Petruchio also disagrees with everything she says. It was exhausting for Katerina. And the more 10 things I hate about you are the names of both the... What is exhausting for Katerina? That is why she ends up agreeing with everything he says and doing everything he asks her to do, even saying that the sun is the moon. This is the so-called taming. Bianca is in the end allowed to marry Lucentio because Katerina got married. Everyone comes to their wedding, even Hortensio, the old suitor of Bianca who has recently wed another girl. The men decide to see which one of their wives is most obeying. They call for them and Katerina is the only one who comes. This shows she is tamed and she has become the best wife of them all. So it's very sexist.
In 10 Things I Hate About You, there are two sisters who go to the same school. You have the lovely Bianca and the shrew Kate, based on the character Katerina. At the school there are a lot of boys who fancy Bianca and want to date her. But Bianca has no date rule, unless Kate dates too, given to them by their father. Kate does not mind. She does not like boys, because of something that happened in the past. Bianca is very popular and the opposite of Kate. She likes boys and wants to go to parties, what she's not allowed to do unless Kate goes too. A new guy comes to school, Cameron. He falls in love with Bianca at first sight. Unfortunately for him, she's not allowed to date. This is why he and his friend go out to Joey, a popular guy who also wants to date Bianca. They tell Joey that if Kate goes on a date, Bianca can go too. Joey gets excited and tries to find a boy for Kate. His eyes fall upon Patrick, the weird guy at the school. Patrick agrees to try and date Kate, but only in exchange for money. Joey agrees and Patrick starts trying to date Kate. In the beginning, Patrick only does it for the money, but after a while he sees Kate is not as bad as he thinks and he and her have a lot in common. He tries to get out of the deal he has with Joey because he likes her and doesn't want the money anymore, but Joey pressures him into continuing the deal because he is finally allowed to date Bianca. While this is happening, Cameron starts tutoring Bianca in French, hoping that he will connect with her that way. Unfortunately, she only goes out with Joey while keeping Cameron on the hook. Then at a party where Kate is taken to by Patrick, so Bianca is also allowed to go, Joey shows his true self, an egoistic guy who only wants to date Bianca for sex. Kate also finds out about the money Patrick got from Joey. She gets mad and leaves the party. In the end, Kate makes a poem about Patrick. In the poem, called 10 Things I Hate About You, Kate tells Patrick she doesn't hate him, but actually likes him. Patrick tells her he likes her too, and they get together. Bianca discovers she has feeling for Cameron and confesses them to him, in French, and they also get together.
Now that we have talked about the original Shakespeare work, and we talked about the adaptation, let's talk about the similarities and differences.
Similarities. In Taming of the Shrew and 10 Things I Hate About You, there are a lot of similarities. That's because 10 Things I Hate About You is based upon the story Taming of the Shrew, which was written by Shakespeare. In the story, you have Lucentio or Cameron. Lucentio in Taming of the Shrew and Cameron in 10 Things I Hate About You, who is a new guy in town and falls for Bianca instantly when he sees her. He tutors her to try to get close to her, so that he can woo her and try to date her. Lucentio, or Cameron, eventually ends up with her in both the stories. There's also Hortensio, or Joey, who is another suitor of Bianca. He is the rival of Lucentio, or Cameron, and he is the one who sets Patricio, or Patrick, the suitor of Katrina or Kate, up with Katrina or Kate, just so that Bianca can date him, which she doesn't. In both the stories, there's also a no date / marry rule, because Katrina and Bianca are not allowed to date or get married unless the other one is, Bianca isn't allowed to date or get married unless Katrina has a date or gets married. There are a lot of characters who are based upon other characters. You have, of course, Bianca and Katrina. They are the two of the main characters, so you can see them back in 10 Things I Hate About You, also as Bianca and Katrina. But in 10 Things I Hate About You, Katrina is called Kate. You have Lucentio in Taming of the Shrew, new guy in town, but he is called Cameron in 10 Things I Hate About You. Hortensio, another suitor of Bianca, is called Joey in 10 Things I Hate About You, and in 10 Things I Hate About You, he's the dog and the just big douche. And then you have Patricio, Katrina / Kate's suitor, and eventually her husband. In 10 Things I Hate About You, he is called Patrick and ends up dating her.
And now the differences.
Of course, there are also a few differences between Taming of the Shrew and 10 Things I Hate About You. One of them, well, actually two of them because they're the same thing, are the setting and the time difference. In The Taming of the Shrew, which is set in the Golden Age when Elizabeth was queen, the story is a lot more sexist than 10 Things I Hate About You, because in Taming of the Shrew, there, women were just objects in the Golden Age. They didn't really, they weren't allowed to speak their mind, they weren't allowed to have an opinion, and you can see that, that is portrayed because Katrina is called a shrew because she does speak her mind and she does show her opinion, and she is called tamed when she obeys her husband and says what he wants to say, what he wants her to say. And 10 Things I Hate About You, which is set in a more modern time period, around the 2010s, I think. They're in high school and, there are cars, it's more modernized and a lot less sexist. It is still sexist because, again, Kate, or Katrina, is called a shrew because she speaks her mind and is a feminist. But she isn't called tamed because she doesn't really she doesn't she doesn't get tamed in 10 Things I Hate About You. In 10 Things I Hate About You, Katharina or Kate actually falls in love. In Taming of the Shrew, she doesn't. You can read in Taming of the Shrew that she gets married with Petruchio because he is the only one who can handle her, not because she actually likes him or loves him. No, just because he's the only one who can handle her. In 10 Things I Hate About You, Patrick and Katrina actually go through a love story and fall in love with each other. Another difference, actually, is that in 10 Things I Hate About You, Katrina or Kate is more feminist. She is a little bit feminist in Taming of the Shrew because she speaks her mind, she shows her opinion, but in the end she obeys her husband and says what he wants to say, what wants her to say, which is not what something a feminist would do. But in 10 Things I Hate About You, you can see and you can see in her thoughts that she's a really big feminist because she wants to go study really high. She wants to study on a really prestigious university, and she just objects all of the stereotypes for a girl. So her clothes are different. She wears her hair different. She acts different. She's not what you would call a girly girl. She is a feminist. Not that girly girls can't be feminists, but she is more a feminist. She is more a feminist in 10 Things I Hate About You.
Thank you for listening. Please remember we inflicted the suffering of watching both films on ourselves, so you guys don't need to do it. Take care.